Thank you all for being here. Yeah. Okay, so this is our Harvest Highlight program. Sustainable Cape, we're a small nonprofit. We run this program and a lot of other wonderful community programs here on the Outer Cape. Our home is here in Truro, but we have farmer in the school programs at Provincetown Elementary, Truro Elementary, Wellfleet, and soon Eastham. And really our mission is to celebrate local food while educating about our bodies and our environment. So there's a lot of focus on soil health and local food and really spreading the word about the importance of local food and the health of our environment. So we run the Truro and the P-Town Farmers Markets, which are opening up real soon. Let's see, May 18th is the first Provincetown Farmers Market, Saturday in P-Town. And then June 3rd is the first Monday in Truro, the first Truro Market. So be sure to get yourself there. So every Monday throughout the season till the fall, we'll have the Truro Farmers Market, and then every Saturday the P-Town Market. We run a lot of different food access programs, a fruit and veggie prescription program, HIP CSA for the winter for low-income families. We really do everything we can to really uplift our local growers and get food to as many people as possible. So this program is awesome because we're honoring and bringing in local chefs and celebrating local food. So we get funding from the Department of Agriculture to run this program, and then we have a sister program where we buy $400 worth of a local crop every month. And with that food, we take it to 3 community kitchens, and the community kitchens use the food. So this month, we're celebrating eggs. Victoria's actually here from Wellfleet Chicken Coop. We have her gorgeous eggs that Chef Caleb is going to use today. And every month, it's different. So be sure to keep an eye on the sustainablecape.org website. We have 3 more Harvest Highlight events for the season, 1 in May and 2 in June. And big thanks to Truro Library for being a home for us for these events. They're really wonderful. I just want to introduce Jackie, who's right here in front of the computer. She's our program manager with Sustainable Cape. Francie Randolph is here. She's the director of Sustainable Cape. And we've got Nate from Provincetown TV. So it's really a great community event. One other quick thing. We've got the Children's Garden every Tuesday here at the library. There's a poster here. I run the Children's Garden program, so educating kids on how to grow food. And then we also have this Grow a Row program. So if you are a gardener and you want to grow an extra row for your neighbors, there are refrigerators. There's one here at the Truro Library. There's one at Howe, Provincetown Library. You'll see there's all these places with these beautiful new refrigerators where you can actually bring the uncut produce, put it in the fridge, and then people can come and take the food home. So if you're a gardener, and you can bring it to the farmer's market. The other thing is tomorrow, if you like to volunteer, you're interested in volunteering with us, we're having a gathering tomorrow at 11. So just come and talk to me or talk to Jackie and we can give you all that info. But today we're so excited to have Chef Caleb Lester here from Ciro and Sal's. I just learned that Ciro and Sal's has been around for almost 70 years in Provincetown. So if you haven't been there, please do go and enjoy the food. It's really an incredible place honoring classic Italian recipes and using a lot of local ingredients. So high quality ingredients, local produce, local meats. Chef Caleb actually butchers veal twice a week in-house. He has so much experience working in LA at different restaurants, and then being here, he's now executive chef and owner of Ciro and Sal's, and he comes just with so much skill and enthusiasm. So welcome, hi. And come with your questions. This is a nice conversation with the chef, so take advantage of this awesome chef being here, and then we'll all have something to taste as well. So thank you so much, and thank you, Chef Caleb.
Quickly before we start, I just want to say that this is also sort of envisioned as a bit of an economic driver. So you're going to get to taste the amazing food from Ciro and Sal's. And this has been a restaurant that my family has gone to ever since we moved here about 25 years ago for major events. And I just am so happy to have you all here. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'm really excited to start and talk about eggs. When Sarah first approached me to this, she was like, next month is greens, and last month, told me about the months, and when she told me this month was eggs, I was ecstatic. Eggs are really cool, a lot more than you know. So eggs are actually what they call a complete protein. It has every protein in one egg, right? So it's actually really cool. So eggs have every vitamin and every mineral, every vitamin and every mineral that your body needs to sustain itself, other than vitamin C. So if you have eggs in an orange in the morning, you've at least touched every vitamin that your body needs. Boom, right there. So yeah, I always say starting your day with eggs, great way to start. Yeah, so what we're going to make today is carbonara. It's a very classic dish, which is funny because it's actually only been around for about as long as Ciro's. It's actually invented like in the 40s. It was invented in World War II. Yeah, so like Americans came over, what was in Italy, and in their rations they had these powdered eggs, not as good as these, obviously, and had bacon. So, when the war ended, they were all there, and they had a surplus of these eggs and these bacon, and they didn't know what to do with them. And they were like, well, let's make a dish out of it. And that's where carbonara came from, actually. A lot of people say, variations here and there. Has cream, doesn't have cream, peas, no peas. There's a lot of variations, but the way I like to cook is that kind of whatever you want, it's kind of, do whatever makes you feel good. So using local ingredients, also, these eggs are gorgeous eggs. And as you see about these different colored eggs, that's from different types of chickens. People don't know that, eggs, the brown eggs that you get are from one type of chicken, different color eggs. The reason why you see mostly brown eggs in stores is because usually they're larger, and they're produced more. That's what they say at least. Easier to produce. Yeah, so we're going to get started. I'm going to tell you guys what I'm going to do. Please ask questions throughout any questions, definitely ask. We're going to cook up some bacon, make some fresh pasta. Usually carbonara is not made with fresh pasta. It's actually a very unique thing. In Italy, I've traveled to Italy multiple times. In Italy, people think that fresh pasta versus dried pasta, that one's better than the other. That's just not the case. Like, I won't make it from fresh pasta just because it's another way to utilize eggs, and it's just a fun thing to do. But really, they're just used differently. Sometimes you use one, sometimes you use other, and that's mostly dependent on the dish. Absorbing pasta, absorbing sauce, that's dried pasta. A fresher, say you want to do a pesto, a lot of times that's fresh pasta. So it's really more dependent on the dish, not that one is better than the other. So we'll make some fresh pasta, but I think we'll use some dried pasta as well, just because that's how the dish is supposed to be made. All right, so I'm going to start. And the first thing we're going to do is cut up some bacon. Now, this bacon is from a place here in Truro, Hillside Farms. And it is Drew Locke. I don't know if you guys know him, but he has great meats, chickens, cows, pork. I mean, it's some of my favorite ever. He actually is also at the farmer's market often.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I mean, if you have any time, after you taste this, it's night and day, the difference between really good bacon and then the stuff you get at the store, sometimes with preservatives and all the stuff added to it. It's night and day. So,
Show us your knife.
all of them? Too many now. I have a lot. I'll show you a couple. So this is my normal chef knife. It's an 8-inch chef knife. A lot of people like the 6-inch. It's a little bit easier to handle. But with like the quantity that I do at cooking at Ciro's, it's just much easier, to use a at 8-inch. This is a butcher knife. It's a small butcher knife. As I said, as Sarah explained, I break down all my veal in-house. So I get a whole veal leg, debone it, and all the veal that you get at Ciro's is from that leg. So, I mean, we use every part of it. The meatballs, I grind up the meat from the meatballs. I get bones from it. We make all of our sauces from the bones. So there's literally no part of that that goes to waste. These all are used for that. And there's more that I'll just go into. Alright, so, yes. So, when cutting up the bacon for this, again, some people will say it matters the size, you want bite-sized pieces. I like to do about an inch-sized pieces. So when you see bacon, there's two pieces of bacon. There's the fat and the lean. As you can see, this has great, I don't know if you guys can tell, but there's a great ratio of fat to lean here. So a good 1-inch piece is exactly what you're looking for. So just cut it all the way through. Like that. Yeah. And then we're going to, for the first time, try this. Try this, and we'll see what happens. Look at that. Yeah, okay, good. Look at that. Just like that.
Caleb, how many servings are you preparing right now?
So for a pound of bacon, I would recommend that's about six servings for a pound of bacon. That's how much this is. I have other bacon cooked off, just in case, this looks like a little bit more than 6 people here. So I wasn't going to have you guys just watch me cook bacon all day. In the restaurant, we will cook upwards to 10, 15, 20 pounds of bacon in a day, and only for this dish. We can serve 25 to 30 portions a day, and it's what our sizes, I'd say, are a little bit bigger than the recommended size. So we cook a lot of bacon. So all I did is put this into a cold pan. Just in a cold pan, it's just going to render. So what rendering means is to slowly cook out the fat. Is really what you're trying to do when you render something. So get that. As I said, there's 2 pieces, 2 parts. There's the fat and the lean. You're just kind of cooking off the fat, and then just by doing it slowly, the lean is actually going to cook in its own fat, which is the best way to cook bacon, in my opinion. All right, so we're going to get started while I'm doing this on some pasta. It's homemade pasta is a great way to also utilize eggs. So a lot of dried pasta has no eggs in it. So if you go to our place like Ciro's and Sal's, our dried pasta has no eggs in it. So it's vegetarian, vegan, friendly, all definitely vegan. And but a lot of homemade pasta, a lot of fresh pasta will have egg in it. It's a great way to add protein to it, and it kind of makes it a little bit more dense. It's kind of almost more dumpling-like, if you will. All right, so I have here already measured out 2 cups of flour. This recipe for pasta is actually really easy. Something that you can use. It's a very simple recipe you can make at your house, and it's a basic recipe. So from here, you could add, chopped spinach and make it into like a spinach pasta. There's so many things you could do to this pasta if you want to add certain things to it. But this is just a basic recipe that you could easily make at your house. All it is 2 cups of flour, 3 eggs, and a little bit of olive oil and salt. And then you make pasta just like that. I mean, that's it. Everyone thinks it's very intimidated by making pasta, and it's very simple dish, honestly. So.
You have a preference of what type of flour?
Yeah, so, it's funny. That's a great question. I actually go back and forth between like a 00 flour, which has less protein in it, But this is just all-purpose flour. And that's the other thing I'd like to say about carbonara is the cool thing about this is you can make this dish with most of the stuff that you have in your pantry. You know, everyone has a box of pasta somewhere in the back of their pantry. You have bacon, you have eggs, and it's a little bit of cream. And I mean, you can make this dish just like that. It's not like, oh, let me go to the store, have to buy all this stuff. You can make this dish, and people get intimidated by carbonara. I think the name kind of makes people like, oh, carbonara, I don't know what that is. But if you think about it, it's like, this is the type of dish that you could make on a Wednesday for the family, or you could also bring it to a dinner party, and people would be like, ooh, carbonara. You know, so it's kind of a cool thing that you can do both with. So all I have here is 2 cups of flour, and I'm just going to sift 2 cups of flour. So a lot of times I'll make this in a bowl, but there's not as much aesthetic to that right now. You guys are watching me, so I'm going to make it in. I'm going to make that right here. This is how you make it in Italy. So you make 2 cups of flour. You're going to make a nice well in the middle of this. Now, I don't know if that process does anything. I've done it both ways while just putting eggs in it, and I've made a well and slowly incorporated it. I'm not sure if there's a difference, but I mean, I do it this way anyway, just because that's the way I was taught to do it. Without sifting it? Yeah, I made it without sifting it. That's gonna, you want the flour, you definitely want to sift the flour. It's kind of similar to like the 00 flour. It's very fine. So you want to make sure that you're getting a lot of fine pieces in there. Sifting the flour is very important. I have done, what you're going to do is get a little bit more brittle. It's going to kind of break a little bit easier, and you possibly won't be able to hold up and soften as much. So, bacon is rendering slowly on this thing, but it's rendering. We're here some time, so that's fine. So, now, just make a nice well right here in the middle. Have your flour. Going to just going to crack 3 eggs into this bowl here. You know what? Let me change it. When you're cracking eggs into a bowl, you always want to crack it into a separate bowl first. The reason for that is you'll find maybe some impurities in the bowl. I mean, in the egg. And it's easier to discard. Or say if you crack it and there's shell in it. Say you just crack 8 eggs into a bowl and then you just crack 1 more and then there's shell in it. You have to try to get through the 8 eggs to get that shell. Cracking into a separate bowl is the light. So just crack it in, make sure the egg looks great, looks perfect, and then just right into a separate bowl. Then you're going to repeat that 3 times. So, part of the table. Yeah. Looks great. No shell. Cool fact about eggs. When you see a chef's hat, right? So you know they have those ridges in the chef's hat. A lot of people say, now, I'm not sure if it's true, but a lot of people say that that's a different way that chefs are supposed to know how to prepare an egg, each ridge. So like, there's thousands of ways to prepare an egg. So if you know something, a lot of times if you go into a job interview as a chef, they'll say, you know, make me an omelet even. A simple dish done right is really what they want you to do. Many people can sit there and make, you know, these dishes after trained a long time, but it's kind of restraint. Kind of reminds me of painting. Like my mom's an artist. Kind of reminds me of that. It's like sometimes restraint is the hardest part of being a chef. You just want to keep adding more. You're like, oh, maybe I put a little bit more of this in, or a little bit more of this in. And it's probably the hardest part is to give yourself that restraint. So all I'm doing is just beating these eggs up a little bit, giving a little air into the eggs.
That was 3 eggs?
3 eggs, yes. And then all it is just a tablespoon of salt. And a little bit of oil as well. And that's it. This table is a little uneven. So this might be, we'll see how this goes. Looks like it's actually, yeah, looks like it's gonna run down a little bit. So, you know what? We're in this together now. So then, once you get that in there, you kind of just slowly incorporate the flour into it. Again, this sounds intimidating, but if you were to just put this in a mixer and mix it, it would work just as well. So you just slowly get the flour into it. I mean, you might get a 5% fluffier pasta with this, a little bit more of a chew. But, I mean, if you're at home and you're like, I don't want to do that process, and you put this just right into a stand mixer and mix it all up together, it would work fine. And then, the fun part, once you get a little mixed together, is, again, what my mom says, best tools are your hands. And this is what fun begins. Great to do with kids. You know, I mean, not at this point, but once you start getting into a dough, it's a lot like Play-Doh. You just kind of knead it for a while and tell them to go at it. So you just get it in there. Yeah, a little runoff. Yeah, that's all right. And that's we'll just form a nice little dough here. Right. And all I'm doing is kind of pushing it back into itself. So I'm just taking the outside of it and pushing it back into itself. Once it starts coming together, you can kind of feel it. It starts kind of becoming more of a dough and starts kind of holding the shape a little bit better. Then you can kind of start actually kneading it. Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, so this would be the time, for sure. And the only thing that you would have to worry about when adding things like that, say spinach, or if you want to be fancy, squidding, which is easy to do, is that the water content will be a little bit higher. So you might have to dust a little bit more flour onto it. But other than that, there would be no other difference. Yeah, this is the time where if you want to add spinach, or, I mean, nowadays they have roasted red pepper. You blend up roasted red peppers. So you can put roasted red peppers in, make it red, make it, you know, the colors are fun to play with. And now this dough is starting to come together. Yeah, this would be the time that you start doing all that. And any other flavor, if you want to say you want to add, you have a little bit of truffle salt. I would like to play a little truffle salt, a little truffle oil. You know, not too much, unless you're my brother. He just douses it. But yeah, and then you start kneading the dough. And by kneading it, what I'm doing is I'm folding it onto itself. So I flatten it out. It's really just using the palm of your hand. So you use right here, and you just push it down, and then fold it over onto itself, and then turn it and push it down again. And what you're doing is really just starting to work all those proteins. This is where a lot of the protein is actually coming out. This is what makes it a little bit more voluminous. When you start moving the flour like this, you're starting to really get it. So that gives it that nice elasticity. You know, again, I'm going to use that word chew, I guess. It's like when you bite into pasta and it kind of holds back a little bit to you. So you just want to work it out for a little bit. Yeah.
Can you dry that?
What?
Can you dry it?
Yeah, so the best way to dry it, yeah, great question. Yeah, to dry this, very simple, and you can dry it and also freeze it. So what you could do, if you wanted to say store this, and you wanted, you could wrap this in plastic, put it in your freezer, and you can store this frozen, which is the best way to do it. Now, if you want to dry the pasta, it is a little bit more of a process if you're going to dry you guys, after you cut it, you want to dry it. You wouldn't want to dry it at the ball. You roll it out, cut it, and then flour it, hang it, and you air dry it. You also put, if you have a dehydrator, so that's not something most people have just in their house. They usually have to hang it. Sometimes, and then it could be, I'd say like a whole day, 24 hours. And what you're doing is taking out all of the water content of it, because anything that's making something go bad, what that is it has to have water content. Bacteria won't survive without water. So like that's really what you're looking for there. So you need this dough for about 10 minutes. Again, this is where the kids can come in, have them do it. So instead, I think I'm just going to, I have the dough that I made earlier. And after you knead it for about 10 minutes, it'll go from kind of floury and like this, and you have this nice color. It'll turn more like this, and it's like a nice color of dough. It's, again, if I sat there for another 20 minutes and kneaded this, that's where this would come into play. We're not going to do that. So the next step, the fun step, is using this. This is actually my wife's, but mine is white and not as pretty, so so we're going to cut this in fourths. I would always recommend cutting it in fourths if you use this recipe. If you try to manipulate too much at one time, it's not going to feed to the machine very well, and also it might get a little tough if you're going to overwork it. So, yeah, bacon's coming together. And I'm baking, right? It's actually not bad. Watch the cooking while smelling bacon. Alright, so when you're doing this, after you've already got it all nice and perfect, you just flatten it out a little bit. You know what I haven't done? Yeah, there we go. Hadn't checked that yet. So this actually is a cool attachment. It has a middle roller. A lot of them will just have a roller, which flattens the dough. But this actually has a roller and it has a cutter, which is pretty cool because then you don't have to cut it yourself either. So you want to flatten this out, and there's 9 settings on this. A lot of them will have at least 5 or 6, but the more settings, kind of just the easier it is to deal with. A little nerve for pushing down too hard on this table. Alright. Alright, so we're going to turn it on slow and put it on to the lowest one. This passes through the lowest one. And all you're doing is really just flattening that out. And then what you're going to do is fold it onto itself, like that, and pass it through the other way. You see, so. And then you're going to do that one more time. This way. And right through one more time. Okay, so now I'm just going to work the pasta through. And as I do this, what I'm doing is I'm just going to go down. So what going down in setting means is that it's just getting smaller and smaller and smaller, right? So that first one was a wide gap, so it's easier to get through. And as you see, as I go through this, it's just going to start coming a little bit longer. Getting it. And then you just go a little bit lower. Feed through again. You want to try to make sure you get it into the middle of the rolling pin. again. I always find this pretty clear. Should we stop and do lasagna? Go into the... I'm just guiding it through. The machine does most of the work. I have had to do this without a machine, and it's not as fun. And so for the last time through, nice thin pasta dough. Yeah, you want to be able to basically, see your hand through it. Is what it's, so you're seeing the shadow of your hand at least through it. And so at this point, you could make anything. This is just pasta dough, right? So you could make raviolis with it, lasagna with it. I mean, this is just a plain pasta dough. And this, what I would do normally here, which I'll do, I guess, is just square this off. You can reuse this pasta dough if you wanted, but I would square it off a little bit. I would square it off a little bit better if it was daisy. And so now what you're going to do is actually just feed this through. So there's two cutters here, fettuccine and a linguine. The linguine is just an easier one to do. It's more traditional for carbonara. And so then you just feed it through. See that? And yeah, so then you have spaghetti. And what I would do right away, always, even if you're going to cook it basically right away, is I would take a little flour and just dust it a little bit with some flour. That's going to keep it from sticking to itself. If you kind of push it back to itself, it'll become one big thing of pasta. And unless you want fettuccine, that's not what I would say. Yeah. And then you have your pasta. Pretty easy. All right, so I have some water boiling back here, which doesn't work on this stove. So I'm just going to dump that in there. So when you're salting pasta water, I know it seems very easy, but it actually is really important. Pasta water is one of the biggest utilized things that chefs utilize, and I'd say a home cook doesn't, right? So the pasta water has salt in it, starch in it, has protein in it because of all the pasta, right? So after you cook your pasta in it, I always save some pasta water. It's almost like using a stock that's a neutral stock. So instead of having to have like chicken stock or like a vegetable stock, this is very similar to a stock. It has salt, it has everything that you need in it, and it's really just from the pasta. So that's like one of the biggest things that chef you will go, I don't know what this sauce tastes a little bit different.
How long would you keep that in the refrigerator?
I wouldn't keep it per se in the refrigerator. I would use it every time I'm doing it. So like if I'm making a sauce, like if I'm making pasta, I would use it then. I wouldn't keep it.
A couple of days?
I mean, if you want to keep it, you could. But anytime you're making pasta, I mean, or anything with pasta, I would definitely. That's something I would recommend. Always take at least I'd say a cup away to use later. It's really is one of the things that like people are like, why what that and using too much butter are the two reasons why chefs have their food tastes so good. All right, so I'm gonna do this pasta. We'll get right into it. Right, so I'm just gonna drain this bacon off on the side. And the other great thing about carbonara, which we said before, is that it's all used basically this one pan. I mean, one for, I guess two if you want to count the boiling water, which for cleanup is pretty easy, not the water pot. But other than that, I mean, I'm going to make everything in this one pan, so it is very easy. Should we make one more thing of fresh pasta? So we, yeah.
Yeah.
One more fresh pasta.
Yeah.
Make one more fresh pasta just so we have enough that everybody can at least taste a touch of it. But as I said, I will make more with the traditional pasta, just so that we all, that's the way there's no way to eat it. Now, as I said before, there's a lot of different variations of this dish. Bacon, so people think that pancetta or guanciale, which is cheap, but bacon is the original and traditional. I mean, they say that because there's a restaurant in Italy, in Rome, where carbonara became famous. That is what kind of popularized carbonara, and they use pancetta. That's what popularized it. So that's what people say traditionally. It is pancetta. Now, I think that it's cool that you can use anything. I have some roasted mushrooms that I roasted today, and I think it's a great dish. You use roasted mushrooms, vegetarian dish that way. You don't have to worry about it, and it's a great way to go. I mean, if you peas, I have peas here. We have some fresh pea shoots that Sarah brought, and it's kind of just that's not right. That's right into. Hold on, skipped a couple steps there. We're going to back that. It did come out pretty good. But I'm going to fold onto itself. Again, that's just what this process does is actually helps that gluten. And so when you push into your dough, you want it to kind of start forming back against itself. So it's going to start, you know, as I push into it, it kind of pushes back on me. And that's really what you're looking for. It gives it a bite. So like when you bite into it, it's not mushy. You don't want like a mushy pasta. And so that's why you want to do this process. So we'll do one more.
Shape or does it all depend on the sauce?
So tough. That's a great question. I have a favorite shape. I mean, it definitely depends on the sauce. I'm a big fan of like farfalle pasta. Just because anything that has ridges, because it really does soak up the sauce that much better. So anything that has ridges is my favorite. But like a traditional linguine fini, which we serve at Zero's, is definitely up there. Linguine fini. Great name. Alright, so off the bottom point. So this is where we get it. This is when we get to have the fun. Another utilized thing here is the grease of the bacon. So that is not going anywhere. We're going to use that. The reason why the bacon is so good is because you're actually going to fry this pasta in the bacon grease, then toss the pasta. Yes, so that's the way to do this, right? So we're going to get into this again. And we're going to use some Spanish. Okay, so this recipe this is how you make the sauce in the carbonara. Again, 3 eggs, pretty easy. 1, beautiful. Feels like Easter. 2, and 3. And again, this is, I would say, you know, a good portion of so when you cook this pasta, it takes all of 20 seconds. When you're cooking dry pasta, you know, 12 minutes, you're really just, I mean, these, especially something so small, like a thin linguine, if you're going to do something that has a little bit more texture to it, or it's a little bit thicker, fettuccine, you know, you're looking at maybe 30 to a minute. But it's a very quick and easy thing to do, just cook fresh pasta. Honestly, sometimes, other than the kneading, if I have dough ready, it's faster for me to do this process, of, you know, and then cook up the pasta than it is to cook a pasta. There's not oil in here, is there?
Oil?
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 Yeah.
What kind of oil?
Like olive oil?
Go through and see. I have no idea. Just rifle through.
I don't think so.
Yeah. It's just gonna, all the oil is doing is just gonna, oh, you know what?
Yeah, so bacon.
Another little baking So, pasta's ready. Hands on, baby. And we're gonna make carbonara.
So you'll keep all the bacon grease all in there?
I keep all the bacon grease for days. I use bacon grease more, you know, for anything. You can saute in bacon grease. You could, I mean, bacon grease is not something you want to waste. So this to make the sauce is so easy. It's 3 eggs. You're gonna grate about a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. Then you're just putting a little bit of black pepper, which is the only other seasoning really in this. It's just a little black pepper. And this is where people will say either traditionally or not. I'm going to add a little cream to this. What the cream's going to do, especially if at home, I would definitely recommend doing the cream. What cream's going to do is going to help fortify your sauce. If you don't add cream to it, it's much easier to end up making scrambled eggs. So a little cream, just like that. And yeah, it just helps it so that your sauce is not going to break on you, which means separate, and then you're going to have, you know, cream and eggs. Yeah, perfect.
So do you have grease in the pan right now? Or is there still some?
Yeah, there's grease in this pan. Yeah.
Okay.
There's about, I'd say, like a tablespoon of grease in the pan, and that's what I'm going to fry this in. All right, so I like to do it like this. I like to add some bacon into it. Just some bacon. I'm going to top it with bacon as well. Can't have enough bacon. I'm going to cook some bacon a little bit. I like to always top it with bacon as well. I think it's just a great aesthetic. And then we're going to fry the pasta into there, put the sauce in, mix it up, and it's plated pretty quickly. This is where things start moving a little faster. As long as the temperature's right. Okay, that's as high as it goes. Okay, great.
So you want the pan really high?
Yeah. Yeah, you want it nice, high heat. What you're gonna do is, the reason why you want a high heat is right when you add you're gonna fry your pasta, and that's all the heat you have. You take it off the heat and you put that sauce in, you don't put the sauce back on the heat. You just cook it by itself with the residual heat of what's been on the pan. That's why you want the pan nice and hot before you start frying the pasta. Yeah. Comes together pretty quick. Yeah. Add your pasta right in. You're gonna fry this for just right in that bacon grease and actually touch more bacon grease. I always have some extra bacon grease on the side. Just fry it up a little bit in this bacon grease. This is where the actual dried pasta is better. Just frying fresh pasta is not what you're supposed to do. They'll stick together like it is now. But we're here. Once that gets nice and hot, it's hot.
You lift up the pan, it turns off.
Yeah.
Anytime you open it. That's good enough. Don't lift up the pan. That's why we keep them around.
No, it's not, I just noticed.
There we go. All right.
Yeah, I didn't know.
So usually this I would say is residual heat, but because there's a little bit less residual heat, I might just cook a little bit of it off this. We'll add a little bit of the sauce into this. Oh, and I just spilled it everywhere.
Don't worry about it, we got it at the end.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. And so it comes together really quick at that point. See? And then you just right on top.
Just 1 minute you cook it?
Oh yeah. If this pan was a little bit hotter, I would once I put the sauce in, I wouldn't even take that off. So then I just always top this with a little bit of Parmesan cheese to it. I like to do fresh parsley on it. And if you really want to be fun, maybe just go like a nice cheese grill on there as well. So now, yeah, you guys can see this. I'll make some crust I'll eat. How about that, real quick? This is all I'm here. Promise this is great.
Gail, you got a question?
Yep.
Can I ask a question? Do you ever add pasta water to make it more?
Yes, for sure.
Because I know I made it and I separated the eggs and made it scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
And then to save it, I just added pasta water, but I'm not a chef.
So no, pasta water is a great thing to add there. The cream,
Yeah,
if you're not going to use cream,
Yeah.
that's when you use pasta water.
okay, perfect.
If you're going to use, it's kind of like at home, as you said, like if it's separated, Cream is a great way to just make it so that it's kind of like a cheat code.
Okay.
It's just going to come together as more of a sauce. Whereas, you know, if you add pasta water, it's kind of more, it's a little bit more temperamental. It's easier to break and stuff. But yeah, it's a great question. Definitely, when I'm making it at home, there are times that I'll add pasta water, take away from the cream a little bit. But cream is a little bit of a cheat code. So, quick one. Let's make a bunch to try. And maybe we'll do a couple of vegetarian ones as well. So I have some bacon there. We're back to it. And we're back to it.
This unit always helps everyone.
It's one of those ones that it's a challenge. I actually did like a 60-person wedding with like about a 2-burner stove one, like this. It was probably the worst night of my life. Yeah, it was tough. I mean, it was windy out. I walked around and I saw a grill, and I was like, oh, maybe I can use this outdoor grill. It was at someone's house during COVID, and they, and I was like, oh, maybe I could use this grill. And it was so windy, couldn't even use the grill. Nothing worse than like when one thing starts going wrong, then the next thing, and then you're just like, well, this is where I live now. All right, so I'm going to use chives. We'll throw some chives in there as well. Great chives. Chives are a great thing to top on this. The onion flavor, especially subtle onion flavor like this, is kind of what you wouldn't want to put like actual onion in it, like full white onion or something like that. But a nice chive that has like a more subtle onion flavor, I do think goes great with carbonara. Peas, we have some pea shoots, so we'll do that as well. And actually, maybe I'll do that as well. So I have some mushrooms here. All I did was roast them in an oven, 500 degrees, salt, pepper, and garlic, a little olive oil, about 10 minutes. So the thing about the mushrooms that you got to be careful with a little bit is the water content. So when you have too much water in there, you can easily break your sauce. But we'll do one with mushrooms. We'll do one without mushrooms. Okay. So yeah, this is the good thing about this is that once you have your burners right, once this is all ready and you have everything prepped, you can make a lot of them pretty quickly. As you saw, once the sauce is in, and I have made a bunch of sauce earlier. All you do is just double recipe, triple recipe, however you want to do it. So you just, if you want to make it, for 30 people, you can just do that recipe by 5, and it's just pour some sauce in, go again, and it's very quick.
Okay, if you were doing it for a big group like that, would you do like 10 different batches of it though? You wouldn't try to
I would never do, I wouldn't try to do, say like, one dish of like, that would be hard. Even we do it sometimes for catering, and I'll do, I'd rather do eight of them quick than try to do one like huge pan of it. Again, just because getting scrambled eggs is not what you're looking for. So all I'm doing is I have some pasta here that I'm just blanching quickly.
Hey Vic, where can people buy your eggs right now?
Good question.
Good question.
They could order them online on the store. My website has the link to my online store, and
So-
they You can pick them up on Saturdays.
Okay, so
That's
pick
when
up
the
on
farm is open.
Saturdays.
But you gotta pre-order them
Okay,
by Thursday.
is that, so that's Wellfleet Chicken Coop,
Chick coop.
chickcoop.com?
WellfleetChickCoop.com.
Okay,
Yeah, otherwise, I've been providing, marketplace in Wellfleet.
okay, oh nice.
And then once the market's open, we'll be at the farmer's market.
You'll be at Wellfleet
Sure.
Churro. Okay, great, so Wellfleet Marketplace, good to know, right
And
now.
Salty Market, yeah.
Salty
Oh,
Market?
yeah, salty, I just brought
Yeah.
eggs and salty.
So if anyone is looking for
Right, so-
fresh eggs,
Thank you.
yeah.
Just
Salty
toss it like
Market.
that, right in, just a little bit, yeah. It's a little bit easier to saute with the not fresh pasta. Gotta save that bacon. Oh, don't flip. Hard not to flip. Saute means to flip, right? So. Pop it in. Give it a quick mix in here. Cook it off. Heat will continue to cook it all. This is what you're looking at for cereals and salads carbonara. Nice little twirl maybe.
How many eggs per person did you do? Is it like?
I would so for one recipe it's 3 eggs, and I think that could be, I mean, depending on the size, like this is about 2 eggs. This is about a little bit under a full portion of that. So I mean, to me, that's I could eat it myself, but but I would say that a family of 4 I think should if you had 1 more egg, our normal portion I think like with broccolini, say something like that on the side. I think that would family of 4.
Yeah.
So 3 eggs for a family of 4.
Yeah, because it's just a sauce. You're not, that's not what you're, that's not the, it's making a sauce with the eggs. It's not like you're eating, the eggs with it. It's just your, so this is the mushroom one. Same idea, right in there with the mushrooms.
So if you're not doing it with bacon, would you do like olive oil in there?
Olive oil,
Butter?
yes. You can do butter, olive oil, butter.
Well, I guess.
Yeah, a fat for sure. You want to just to fry that in. Different tongs. Yeah, and once it starts going, it's already frying up. Just add your sauce.
So your sauce looks really nice and thick.
Yeah, a lot. So I made. No, that's just cheese.
Okay.
So when I grated that, I didn't grate a full half cup. Like I said a half cup, and I grated probably about a quarter of a cup.
Okay.
But for every 3 eggs, it's a half cup. So it's a lot of cheese.
Okay.
You're looking at that's more the cheese than the cream. The cream, a little bit of cream, but it's really more the cheese. I didn't bring it up. Oh, and then good. Yeah, I guess we can start. Do we want to put some peas in here?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, peas in there. Peas. I'll just make another one. I'll just take another one.
Yeah, you ready?
Put a little bit of this chives on both of these. Always.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, oh, so these chips, I love making them. All it is grated Parmesan cheese in an oven, 500 degrees, 8 minutes, and you're just set. It's just grated Parmesan cheese. And the cheese just melts together. So it melts, and then when you take it out, the only thing I would say to be careful of is take it out. I say maybe closer to 5 minutes, depending on your oven, because it continues to cook. So like when you take it out, it looks like it's maybe not crispy enough, but when you take it out, it'll crisp up and it'll continue to cook.
You let it cool on the pan?
Let it, yeah. And then you just take it out. So if you get it to a point where you think it's ready, take it off the pan. You know, so if you're cooking and you pull it out and you're like, oh, these look like this. Take it off, because if not, you'll have a black dish.